Tell me when you're done. It's really small. It's really fast. What does it do? mPING. Just like on the screen. And I'm not being a smart aleck. I mean, there's other mPINGs out there. So while you're doing this, I'll let you know that it's hosted entirely at the University of Oklahoma right now. We are responsible. There is another way to enter your observations without the app, because the app is merely the implementation of a application program interface, an API, wrapped in an app. But if you have RadarScope, they have implemented that API into RadarScope. So with RadarScope, you can also submit mPING reports. That's great because we want chasers to tell us about the hail they've been into. So now that you all have it, let's continue on. The story behind, you can next slide. What are you doing over there? Okay. The reason we did mPING early on, the very beginning in 2012, was because the next-red radars were being upgraded to dual polarization. Now, I can wax romantic about all the wonderful things we can do with polarization, but it basically transmits circular polarization and receives in vertical and horizontal polarization. And when we do that, we can tell things about the stuff that scatters the signal back to us, some rudimentary ideas about its shape and what it's made of. One of the things that this was done basically to try to detect hail, but then we thought, gee whiz, we can see other things with this, like snow and maybe freezing rain and maybe ice pellets. And so they came up with something called a hydrometeor classification algorithm, an HCA. There's lots of acronyms here. And in fact, radar is a nested acronym, but we won't go into that. And we decided, I did a study that was not very popular because the National Weather Service had gotten the idea that the HCA would tell them about the kind of precipitation that's at the ground. And so I put together with the only prototype WSR 88D dual pole, which is what it's now called, that existed. It was the prototype at Norman at NSSL. If on RadarScope, you can now find it as the radar is called KCRI. It's right out there. And so I looked at HCA and I had people all over the state on a website, not on an app, send us their observations of what was falling. And I wrote a paper about it, and nobody else would be on the paper. So I was the sole author. And what it said was it didn't work very well at the surface. All the guys that developed the HCA were furious. And there's a lot of them at the lab. But the lab director, whom I had been a graduate student with, sent me an email when he got the copy of the proof of this paper, which has to go across his desk. And he said, come to my office. It didn't even say please. I knew Steve pretty well, so I got up off my desk and I went to his office. He said, this is good to see you. Closed the door. He says, what the hell is this? And I said, well, it's the truth. So he called in the deputy director, and we went up to because I said that the NWS was using this wrong. They had been informed. They had been misinformed. So we went and found out, made sure with a witness that yes, what I said was correct, and we were shown the evidence by the Radar Operations Center, and came back and said, yeah, that's it. And he said, you going to publish this anyway? And I said, yes, unless you tell me not to. So it was published. He was unhappy that the NWS had not managed expectations, and unhappy that the HCA was not useful for what we wanted it to be useful for. And so he formed a Tiger team, and I was part of it. And what we needed were observations of things we cannot observe. We have observations all over the airports. Every airport, major airport, has a automated surface observing system or an automated weather observing system. These things don't even discriminate rain and snow correctly about between 30 and 35% of the time. They get it wrong. They miss light freezing rain. They, of course, cannot detect hail because there's no person there unless it's augmented by a person. And they cannot detect ice pellets. Any reason why anybody should care about ice pellets at an airport? Why? Why should they care? Well, let's think about what ice pellets are. They're frozen raindrops, right? Well, if you're going to take off or land when there's ice pellets, you're going to have to go fly through freezing rain, and you do not want to fly through freezing rain. That's a bad deal. It's just nobody's fun time. Plus, ice pellets are, if you put on de-icing fluid on the wing, we're talking about big airplanes here. The stuff is kind of gelatinous, so it stays, and as you pick up airspeed, it kind of all sloughs off at once, except ice pellets will actually erode it away because they'll hit the surface, grab a little bit of it, bounce off. And so you don't know how long you've got once you put that stuff on there before it's not there anymore. And there's a holdover time associated. Lots of reasons. So I decided we have enough of this stuff. We started in 2012, December 19th, 2012. We now have over 10 years of it. Let's put together a climatology of all these different winter precipitation types. There's more to it than this, but I'm going to only show you this part. So let's go to the next slide. So, I mean, why do we care? Well, winter weather is the most expensive stuff we deal with. Yeah, hurricanes are bad. Tornadoes are bad. But look what we do when the winter time comes. Every winter, we expect the sand trucks and the salt trucks and the snowplows to be out there. And every time it snows, we go after. That's expensive. How much of this are we going to have to do? We have to go after different, depending on what comes down, we got to do different stuff. How much of that different stuff are we going to have to deal with? So that's a different process that they have to do. So we got to know what the resources are at airports and at cities. And by the way, how's this going to affect wind turbines? Freezing rain affects wind turbines. Don't kid yourself. How much of that they're going to have to deal with? Well, except when it does happen in Texas. But anyway, so there's a huge wind turbine facility that's going in near Chicago. Monstrous. What happens? And they get freezing rain up there. We're going to find out. They got to know how much they're going to have to deal with. All right, next one. So what do I mean by P-type climatology? Well, we're going to only do it in certain months. There's no point doing it in the summertime or much into spring. So we're going to only look at January, February, March, September, October, November, December. That's it. That's going to be our winter climatology period. When you look at mPING, you're going to see you can report all kinds of mixes. For the most part, I'm going to collapse those down. I'm going to take the attitude that the least problematic is rain. The most problematic is freezing rain. Come on, freezing rain breaks everything. Everything breaks with freezing rain. So the least problematic is rain. Next problematic is snow. Next is ice pellets. They're a mess. And after that comes freezing rain, which breaks everything. So when there's a mix reported through mPING, I collapse that to the most problematic component. There are four canonical winter P types, and I just named them off. Rain, snow, ice pellets, and freezing rain. Everything's a mixture of all of that. Now, we're going to define the climatology as hours that contain a report of precipitation, not an hour of precipitation. It doesn't last an hour. We just know that it was sometime in that hour. So we'll define this climatology as an hour containing that kind of precipitation. We're going to look at a 10-year period. Most climatologies cover 30 years. But right now, we're in a state of relatively rapid climate change. So a 10-year period is probably the most reasonable thing we can capture. And we'll march that 10-year period out and we'll see how things change. So next year, we'll do another 10-year climatology. The next year after that, we'll do another 10-year climatology. And we'll look at how that changes because it will change. Finally, we're gonna look at this in kind of a funny way. It's shouldn't be too surprising that mPING reports have a geographic distribution that looks an awful lot like where people live. You see more of them in cities than you see out in the countryside. You see more of them east of the Rockies than you do within the Rockies. Along the West Coast, there's a whole lot of them, but that's a pretty narrow area. If I took things at face value, the implication would be that we only get precipitation where there's people. And we know that's not true. So we have to come up with some way to fuzz this out that we'll buy that says, no. I mean, your report actually has some kind of valid area around it. This is a hand wave, but it's a way to make sure that each report is counted only once. I don't want the report to affect any other grid points. This is going to be gridded, XY grid. I don't want a report to be counted twice in two different grid points. And we can't come up with a nice mathematical way to do this because they're categories. How do I weight a category across grid points? This is a whole nother can of worms that I'll not open. So let's take a look at where our observations are. These are where our surface observations are. Every point is where we have a surface observation. It doesn't look too bad, except that that's a map of the entire United States. There's kind of some distance between them. It's a lot of areas we don't know about. These are ASOS, actually ASOS and AWOS, automated surface observing system, an automated weather observing system. We have an AWOS here at this airport. These things are not perfect. They're automated because it's a heck of a lot cheaper to look at something that doesn't require a person to be there all the time with eyeballs, seeing what's falling. They're more accurate, they're more precise, but they're expensive. This saves us a boatload of money at the cost of data that's not quite as good. So let's look, that's where all the ASOS observations are. Where'd all the mPING observations come from over these 10 years? Well, that's a lot more of them. There's about 4 million mPING observations there. And as you can see, you kind of know where the highways are and where the cities are, where people live and where people don't. So we're going to merge these two together. We learned that we needed to do this with something I'm going to talk about later, that we're going to merge it. And we're going to put them on what's called a hex bin grid. The points what we do is we count them inside each one of those hexagonal cells. This is used all the time for geographical information services and all kinds of things. And so each cell has a center point marked by that dot. And so we're going to actually grid it, and we're going to apply it where each one of those dots are. And we're going to count them. We're going to count how many observations we have every hour in every one of those grid cells. So let's see what that's called a tessellation. So what are our characteristics? Well, we got 5-minute data from the ASOS. ASOS will never see ice pellets. It can't detect mixes. People can, but ASOS cannot. ASOS misdiagnoses rain and snow. We already talked about that. And it often misses very light precipitation. mPING, on the other hand, is not evenly distributed in space. ASOS is. And mPING goes to sleep. At night, mPING goes to sleep. Because, people that use it, there's some people that aren't asleep, that sleep during the day. That's okay. They're covered by the ones that are awake. And the mPING obs contain errors. Yeah, they contain errors. I've even submitted wrong obs. I hit the wrong button. You can't call it back. That's okay because it's crowdsourced. Because it's crowdsourced, that means any individual error is overwhelmed by the crowd. And we do not, neither ASOS nor mPING tries to estimate intensity. That's because there's no good way to do it without serious instrumentation. Sure, you used to do it by visibility and rain and snow, but it turns out we have learned since then that the visibility depends far more on the distribution of the hydrometeor sizes than it does on how fast, on how much stuff is falling. So that's not a good way to estimate the intensity. So let's see what some of this stuff looks like. Enough yakking. Let's look at some pictures. We'll start with rain because it rains in the wintertime. So here's how many hours contain a rain report over a 10-year period and in the wintertime. And as you kind of expect, there's more rain in the south than there is in the north. Our maximum rain, by the way, off the coasts, pay no attention to that. That's the man behind the curtain. There's some, with the contouring routine, does some strange things when it doesn't have any data to contour, but it used to have. And it thinks it kind of has data around the edges. That'll be thrown away when for the publication. And obviously it rains a lot up in the Northwest, the Pacific Northwest. See, lots of hours in the Pacific Northwest. So around here we can expect, these are contoured, I believe, every 200 hours. Yeah. So around the Gulf Coast of Texas, 1,000 hours of rain. Around us, yeah, 400 hours in the Panhandle and 600 hours around about where we are. And as you go southeast, you get more. That's not terribly surprising, but it's kind of interesting to see how much of it's there. Let's go to the next one. Now we're going to look at snow. Everybody likes snow here. How much does it snow? Well, not a whole lot around here, about 100 hours, something like that. There's a fair bit of snow in our observations up in the north central Rockies, but look at the Great Lakes. Well, that's where the snow is. You want to go snow? The snow is up around the upper Midwest and northern New England. A lot of it, 1,200 hours contains snow up there. So, and it's mainly in the north where we'd expect the snow to be. Not much snow in Florida. It does actually snow there occasionally, and it's a big deal when it does. We get lots of mPING reports about it. So how about the next one? How about ice pellets? We're going to take a look at some ice pellets. Whoa, gee, they don't have ice pellets much west of here, and they really don't, because we get the proper conditions for ice pellets. And guess what? There's a whole bunch of them around the Great Lakes because they get great conditions for ice pellets there. But we have this maximum that's just in the northeast corner of Oklahoma and southwest corner of Arkansas and southeast corner, right at that corner area. That's actually a little maximum of ice pellets. Who knew? It's a surprise to me. Work like this has been done in the past, but not much of it because it's really hard to do with the observation systems we had. It's easier to do now. Let's take a look at freezing rain. Oh, that's everybody's favorite, huh? We just love freezing rain. It's great fun, isn't it? Look at that. Ha, hello. Yeah, it happens really a surprising amount here. Does happen in the Northwest. It doesn't happen in the mountains. I lived in the mountains for 13 years, and you get freezing drizzle from time to time, which is really horrific mess because the ground is always cold enough for it to freeze onto the ground. But it doesn't do the kind of damage, except to fenders, that refreezing rain does here. Look at the East Coast. Oh my God, they get freezing rain all over the place there too. We're really close to a local maximum. Right there in northeast Oklahoma. I used to live in Tulsa. Yeah, we got freezing rain. All right, let's go to the next thing. What's the next thing I got? Oh, mixed precipitation. What I did was every mixed report, I just took it as a mix, and I said, well, where's all the mixes? Well, all the mixes are where we have all these transitional types. A mix is considered a transitional type. It doesn't last for very long. You're going from one type to another. You're going from rain to snow or snow to rain. You're going from snow to ice pellets to freezing rain. It doesn't last very long. But still, it's mainly to the east, and it's mainly around down, kind of down one of the Great Lakes, because that's where we get the lower structure of the atmosphere we need to make these mixes. There it is. There's not a lot of it because it doesn't last very long. Okay, now what do we have? Oh, yeah. All right, there's one other p-type that ASOS can report. It's a UP. It stands for unknown precip. It means that, geez, something went through my LED weather indicator, but I don't know what it is. So it tells us that something's falling, but we don't know what it is. And there's a lot of it. There's more of that than there is of mix. By the way, ASOS doesn't know what mixes are. But we see it even in places where we don't have mixed precip. Take a look there, Denver. Yeah, some there, some off in the northwest, kind of eastern Washington. What's that about? We have a lot of UPs, which is what ASOS would register, and ice pellets will register as UP and ASOS. But it turns out that UP, we can't seem to pin it down to a particular p-type. So we can't say, oh, a UP means it's ice pellets. It means it's a mix. We don't know what it is, but we know that it gets reported by quite a bit, like, I don't know, 270 hours around New York City, in the Northeast and in New England, has UP in it. UP doesn't always last for very long, but it's still there. So that's, that is kind of a dirty little secret. But it's not really a secret. It's just that I've never seen anyone that can tell me how much there is. Hail. Everybody likes hail, especially if you're a roofer. So let's take a look at what kind of climatology we can put together about hail. Where do hail reports live? Hail reports live in storm data. How does storm data work? What's it for? Storm data is maintained by the National Weather Service, and it's there to help them verify warnings and forecasts. So especially severe weather, not so much winter weather. What are they interested in? They're interested in tornadoes. They're interested in strong straight line winds, and they're interested in hail bigger than an inch. If it's not bigger than an inch, storm data doesn't care. It's not that bigger than an inch doesn't matter. It's just that's what verifies a warning of a severe thunderstorm or a severe thunderstorm watch. Is 1 inch hail, 50 knot winds, tornadoes. That verifies a severe warning or a severe thunderstorm watch or a tornado watch. So, but what about hail that's less than an inch? It will devastate crops if there is any wind at all. Pea-sized hail will knock down crops that are ripe. When do crops ripen, especially grains? No, that's storm season. So this makes a huge difference to agriculture. Oh, and by the way, to insurance actuaries who write crop insurance. So they care a lot. We're not selling this data to them, but it's available. We care a lot about small hail, but it doesn't appear in storm data. So now in this case, we're not going to count hours. We're going to count days with hail. How many days with severe hail do we have? How many days with small hail? Through which data set? So let's take a look at that. Oh, and can we see if the pattern changes with global warming? I'm sure we can, but we only have our first 10 years. So let's take a look at the next one. To assess hail days in storm data, it's not always possible to get accurate times of occurrence because often people are running inside and they're worried about severe weather warnings and they're not looking at the clock. But when you send a report with mPING, it gives you your exact location, like as many decimal points as the device will return, and the exact time. We get that from GPS. So when you send a hail report, we know exactly where it is and exactly what time it occurred. Any hail at any time of day defines a hail day for us. And severe hail is, I haven't seen it happen, but severe hail is almost always accompanied by stuff that isn't severe, smaller hail. I have seen baseballs in the absence of anything else, including rain, but it's not common. And severe and subsevere hail do have a seasonality to them. So let's take a look at some of it. There's where our reports come from. On your left is the storm data sub-severe reports. Why would storm data have any sub-severe hail in it at all? Because it's usually associated with something else. They happen to just put it in there. Let's look at, but now we look at mPING sub-severe hail reports, and boy, you can see that only happens where people are. Well, no, we're going to fix that. Now let's take a look at the severe reports. Oh, storm data has a whole lot more of them than mPING does. What's going on? When they have a severe warning, the NWS actively searches for observations. They have people they call, they didn't see any, they start just random calls where their warning was, looking for reports of severe hail. They actively go after it. mPING is passive. You have to get run over by it in mPING. And so severe hail is pretty rare stuff. So, and it doesn't cover a lot of area. Hail swaths are really tiny. That's why the National Weather Service busts its butt to go after severe reports. They issue a severe warning. They want to know how well they're doing. And so they will get on the phone and go after reports of severe weather. We can't get on the phone and go after mPING. You just have to be there. So you see that severe hail actually only happens where there's people in mPING, but that's also where they got run over by the severe hail. Severe hail is really rare. So even though you've got a lot of observers out there, they have to be where it happens. So what's the best thing to do? Let's combine these two. Let's go to the next thing. Oh gosh, now let's take it just days with any hail, all right? On the left side, we see red is storm data, blue is mPING data, independent. And we see that the same patterns fall out, but the numbers are different. mPING doesn't record as many hail days as storm data does. Let's see, is that correct? No, mPING actually records more hail days than storm data does because mPING includes subsevere hail, a lot of it. So when we look at where does the hail fall, if we combine these two, well, on us. That's on the right side. That's the combined data. That's the best picture we have right now of number of days with hail. Let's go to the next one. Just any hail. How about subsevere hail? Well, we already know storm data is gonna be really short because they don't care technically. mPING, you can report small hail on mPING, and people do. And again, here we are. It's going to happen here. It also happens actually up in Colorado, northern and eastern Colorado. There's some big hail experiments went on there back in the 70s. So now let's see, what are we going to look at next? Probably severe days. Yes. And storm data has a lot more severe days in it than mPING does. But when we look at the combination of the two, that's when we get the best picture. Even though each data set is flawed, we still get a better picture when we put them both together. And now we see that, well, across the year, actually, northeastern Colorado wasn't a bad place to have a big hail experiment because that's where they have the most big hail. We're coming in about number 2, but it's right here. How about, I bet the next is seasonality, isn't it? Yes, okay. The green contours are March. And you see they're in the southeast. That's their severe weather season, is early spring. You see by the time we get to May, it's red, us, that's us. And we get to blue, that's summer. And summer is a northern plains severe weather season. So we can, in fact, with combining these two data sources, catch the seasonality that we know is there in nature. So let's see. Now what do we do? What's the next thing? We get to conclude. We conclude that when we merge these two, it really means something. And that gives us the best picture. mPING only cap, but even so, when we looked at the severe weather, and if we assume that storm data, if there's severe hail, storm data will catch it. mPING only captures about 20 to 35% of the hail days because that's all the severe data that it captures. So it's pretty safe to assume that, because not everyone is everywhere, we still miss hail by a factor of 3 to 4 to 5. So there's probably 4 or 5 times as many days with hail as we can see with any observing system that we have. And that's because it's a big country and it's scattered around, scattered all over. Finally, let's take a look at what people do with this. Does this have any operational impact on our everyday lives? Let's find out. We asked the National Weather Service, how do you use this stuff? Do you use this stuff? Because they have it. It appears on what's called their AWIPS display, which is what they use for their operational forecasting. And they could put mPING reports on their AWIPS display, which shows real data, shows radar data, shows model data, shows surface analysis, shows everything they want to see as a meteorologist. We surveyed 112 weather forecast offices, 45 responded. There were 10 questions. They were mostly yes, no. We didn't use up much of their time. Missing responses counted as either a no or we don't use it. So let's see. What'd they say? Well, 89% of the offices that responded said they use it operation. 11% said would. So now they know about it. Okay. How about how they use it? They check to see if forecasts are on track. They look for forecast verification. They situational awareness and warning generation. They actually use this to generate warnings if they don't have any other information. And they will cross-check with spotters. Well, and you can see that this all adds up to more than 100% because a single office can use it for all these things. But that's pretty good. This is pretty serious operational stuff. It's not throwaway. What else they use it for? Have they used it to alter a forecast? To actually alter a forecast? Well, about half of them said, yeah, we changed our forecast based on the mPING reports we got. That's pretty important. That's a big deal. For the Weather Service to change an operational forecast is a big deal. What else? How about what forecast that were altered based on mPING data? Well, a few warnings. Warnings, that's another big thing now that we're out of the office, were altered, probably generated based on mPING data. Short-term forecasts, less than 12 hours, were altered. And some longer-term forecasts were altered because they were seeing things change that they didn't expect. That's another big deal. That's a big plus for us. Next. Do you promote mPING and use social media and spotter training? Well, half of them do, half of them don't. We've learned since, this is a few years ago, more of them are beginning to use it. We want to change the app such that we can identify reports that come from trained spotters, not the individual spotter, but know that that spotter is trained. We have ideas about how to do that, and changes in the app are coming. Next. And do we encourage a spotter to use this over traditional methods, which are like call it in? And about half of them do, especially when it comes to wind and hail. Spotters can do this. So, and what else? Finally, is it helpful to know that an mPING report came from a spotter? This helped guide us how we want to change the app. And do mPING reports influence or what the hell did I say? Enhance, yeah, enhance. I misspelled enhance, you idiot. Do they enhance confidence in spotter reports? And the answer is yes. So it's useful. It's useful to the National Weather Service. All right, let's see what else I misspelled. Would subsetting mPING obs to only your county warning area, that's their area of responsibility, would that be useful? So you don't have to filter out other stuff? And well, yeah, would. Sure, do it. Finally, am I going over? Okay. So what were the results? Well, fundamentally, I'm not going to read it. You can read fine. It's really useful. It helps the National Weather Service. We're in the process of trying to transition mPING over to something operational. Weather Service is not going to be the ones that host it. They don't need another thing to look after, so they're going to contract it out. OU is not in the contracting business, but we found some people that are interested in doing it. So it's ultimately going to be passed on out of OU's domain, but all the researchers in the world will still have free access to it. The way it works will not change. Nobody will have to pay for using it or sending reports. The company that will host this is a special sort of company. It will be what's called a data bot. The National Weather Service will purchase the observations, the data from this company, but it's worth it to them. It's not worth it to them to actually build a computer system and hire somebody to look after. That's not mPING. And so I think that finishes this off. Okay. Yeah, I don't even have a question slide. So, got any questions? What?
Can you go through walk through a test?
Yeah.
report?
Well, all right, sure. Anybody with mPING, bring it up. Which should now be everybody because you open your hymnals to page mPING. Okay. Well, no. I got. Oh no. I'm in to bring mPING. I deserve that, I guess. So, what do I just fell out of my pocket? I don't know. It's folded. All right. So open mPING on your iPhone. There. Yes. Very good. Okay. First of all right, let's look at reports. So open a browser. Go to mping.ou.edu/display. You can do that, Mark. Now, you can open the mPING app and tap view reports, but it only looks in your local area. You have to fill the screen with it. Hurry up. You're an IT manager. Come on. There you go. So we have a constant ongoing display, which is actually, you can send mPING reports from anywhere in the world. This it opens up on the continental United States. So open your mPING app, and when you open it, you will see select report type up at the top. Tap that, and you'll see a list come up. At the top of that list is test. Tap test. You'll see that is the report you have selected. Tap submit report. You're now done. Your report is now in our database. You want to see it? Tap view reports, and it will show up. Mine will show up with a little yellow X because I'm the only one. But pretty soon we'll see a whole lot of little yellow X's all on top of each other if you submit a test report. Test reports don't do any damage. None doesn't do any damage either. None is a little brown square. Cast is a little yellow X. And so you can submit test reports all you want. That's what they're there for. Get familiar with the interface. There are other things you can report in mPING. Some of these things are going to change. Wind damage is going to change. We're not going to ask you to try to do an overall estimate. We're going to just ask for what you see. Broken limbs, stuff moved around, roofs missing, houses flattened. Just things that you see. You can report as many as you want. There are some different maps that you can choose, different colors of maps. Well, it's dark because we want you to be able to see the icons easily, but here's just a regular map. And you can get more geographical references that way, but some of the icons are difficult to see. Well, there's a selection up in the north upper right hand. You can close the legend. You can see the legend of what all the icons are on the display. See those three things on the right side in a vertical row. The middle one shows you the legend. Looks like a little golf ball on a tee. Click that and the legend shows up and you can scroll through that and see what all the different icons mean. You can stop the looping with the pause button. You can only see the latest reports with the open circle. And you can change the maps, change the map that you look at the very top. You can report tornadoes. Please do if you see one, but you will not see it on the report. Those are the domain of the National Weather Service only. They did not want us to report tornadoes or to show those reports because they want to be the ones in charge of issuing tornado warnings. They don't want bogus warnings to go out. And yes. Go ahead. You don't. The whole idea. You're anonymous. Because when we put this out was when everybody found out the NSA knows everything we do. It depends on how they do it, but most of the time, the last hack that we got was from 3 different people, and they were trying to draw figures with bogus reports, and no one can ever do that again. You can submit bogus reports, but you have to wait 30 seconds between them. And if you got to wait 30 seconds between them, you're going to have to be really patient to do it very much. And all you can do is submit it from where you are. Sure, you can try to fake your location with Android devices. It's possible. We'll detect it and we won't accept your observation. So no one's going to be able to do that again. We don't need to know who you are. We don't want to know who you are. We really don't, because there's liability issues. What if Aunt Margaret's house, your great Aunt Margaret's house, gets a roof blown off, and somebody reported a tornado there, but the National Weather Service didn't have a tornado warning out? There's a liability issue. Who did that? Who reported that tornado? Liability issue. We don't want that. So that's why it's synonymous. This is when all the stuff from David Snow came out about the NSA. And people were really antsy. And so we made it anonymous. And we mean it. It's anonymous. And if push comes to shove, it's, first of all, operational meteorologists know what's reasonable and what isn't. So if in July, somebody starts reporting snow, not a problem. If somebody reports 5-inch plus hail, in severe clear, not a problem. Somebody reports 5-inch plus hail in December in North Dakota, not a problem. They can't report much of it. They can only do it every 30 seconds, not a problem. We can filter that stuff out by hand. It's really easy. So it's the bogus reports, first of all, they're buried by the crowd. Anything all by itself stands out. Anything in the middle of the crowd, if you can't tell the difference by looking at it, it doesn't matter. If you can tell the difference by looking at it, don't use it. There's a lot of ways to filter the data as you download it. Anybody can get an API key, as long as you're not using it to make money, and download the entire database, all 4 million reports. You can't do it all in one gulp. You got to do it in bits and pieces, but you can do it. And you can do whatever research you want with it. You can just look at it if you want to. It's all available. It's publicly available. If you want to make money off of it, that's different. That's not driven by us. That's driven by AccuWeather. Turns out a patent exists for sending hazardous weather information via wireless handheld device, hazardous geotagged weather information via wireless handheld devices. That patent will run out. The last patent will run out in 2026, at which point the floodgates are open and anybody can get anything they want. Well, unless they have to buy the data from one of these other entities, but it'll still be open. Any other questions?
Yeah, on the reporting data that you did with the weather forecast folks, is there a way to, you said half were using it, is there a way to see what part of the country? Did you have a field that says, you know, is it the center of the country that's using all the data and the coasts don't care? Or,
We didn't look at that. I'm sure we could have, but we didn't.
because that would be kind of cool to see if it's, you know, if it's one.
I'm pretty sure they were kind of scattered all over. Because I mean, we only got about half of the state of the WFO's reporting, so I think they're probably scattered all over.
And the 34,500 square kilometers, is that the size of a hex bin?
That's the size of the hex bin. That's about a 1 by 1 degree square. That's been another thing that was used.
Third of a grid square per.
Yeah. That was another area that was used in some previous hail studies, but tessellating on a square has problems at the corners. Any other questions? Great, I'm done. Hope you had fun.
Thank you very much. Short break. Short break. Come on back.
Okay, let's get going, guys and gals. Let's start with introductions. We'll start with Bill Baker. Billy. Fine.
Mark N5HCR. Oh, there we go. Hello, hello.
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 All right. Now we're going to have a moment of silence.
Stand by one. Keep moving. I got to get this going.
Oh, and we have people online. Carl, Michael, Levon, and Ken. Hi, Levon. Oh, hi, Carl. Are you ready, Mark? One of our founding members, Gordon Jones, passed away May 26th, 28th. And we're going to do a final call for him and a moment of silence.
Oscar uniform, this is W5 NOAA net control. Whiskey 5 orbiting new parameters, this is W5 NOAA. W5OU, this is W5 NOAA. For your efforts to start this club as a charter starting member, for your decades of service to the radio community, for your continuous Elmer service, for being a role model to QRZ A5A, for your position on the ARRL DXDC honor roll with 362 confirmed countries, and for the tens of thousands of people that call you friend. Whiskey 5, Oscar uniform, Gordon Jones. You may be gone, but you will not be forgotten.
Thank you. Now we're going to go to our business meeting, secretary's report.
All right. Okay. Testing, testing. Okay, there we go. Last month we had 56 members in person and 9 on Zoom. Had a moment of silence for the silent keys over the last month. The minutes were read by the secretary and the treasurer's report was given by the treasurer. VE report, we had 1 new tech, 1 upgrade to general, and 1 amateur extra upgrade. Core, we had Clay, who's with the Edmond Amateur Radio Club, spoke to everybody about Liberty Fest. They need about 50 volunteers to assist for their July 4th celebration in downtown Edmond. It's going to start at 6 a.m. and be done by noon. He did say if you volunteer, he could get you in the VIP area for the fireworks that night. East Side Bike Ride's also needing some volunteers to assist with it, and more information is on the club website. Aries, Mike Wood and Mark Clayton's running the Aries Severe Weather Net. They asked for people to only report severe criteria, being quarter size or larger hail, 50-mile-an-hour winds, or funnels and tornadoes. New business, Rodney asked for a motion to use $1,500 to order new hats to sell for the club. Motion was made and seconded, then passed unanimously by vote. Program, Dwayne Engels gave a program on building VHF, UHF, and HF antennas. Under announcements, we have the Scars Picnic after the last club meeting at Denny's. Lee Greenleaf is looking for volunteers to help with the Norman EOC, so contact him if interested. Upcoming Camfest, Oklahoma City's July 26th and 27th. Enid is September 14th. Ardmore's October 26th. And a group in Louisville is going to try and put together a Hamcom style Hamfest the second week of June called the DFW Expo. And which it's this weekend. And then the meeting ended at 11:15.
Thank you. Treasurer's report.
Real short and simple. I didn't do the reports this month yet because I was right at the first month I decided to study and take the extra test, which I did. So yeah. Anyway, nothing major's changed. The hats haven't been bought yet, so they're still working on that. So nothing major changed.
But we got money. Yes. We have black and pink hats still. All right, VE report.
Okay, Mark, you're gonna pull up the site. So this week we actually have 3 candidates. There we go. James Ayers N5 JEA upgrade to amateur extra. David Argo, who is in the lower of our meetings. The stuff actually upgraded to general, and of course Larry upgraded to amateur extra. Our next session is on field day on the 22nd of June. We've got 5, I think, applications so far. So if you're ready to test, come on out to it's 2 o'clock, I think, on right for lunch on field day here at the fire station. Congratulations, everybody.
Mark, Cora and ARRL.
Cora and ARRL are both up and running. The information that what's your name? Mr. Pape Dave is still all current. We have Hamfests for Cora in July 26th, 27th at Oklahoma City Community College. We have one in Ardmore in October, which is 26, 27 only, one day down there. And there's, more importantly, for those of you Enid residents, none of us here, in September, there is the September 14th is the Enid piece. A Hamfest is a place where all of us hams get together, buy stuff, sell stuff, do testing, do lots of classes. Oklahoma City is going to have a lot of classes. I think half of the instructors are in the class or in this room today. All kinds of new things are coming out. M17 HODA is going to be doing some stuff for Parks on the Air and the Quanshang. So if you don't know how to spell Quanshang, somebody will tell you how to spell the Quanshang radio. That's the new little handheld piece on that one. So Hamfests are doing well. ARRL is the has anybody here heard anything about ARRL in a little recently? ARRL has, yes. I, as section manager for the state, know absolutely no more than you do by reading the front page of the website. But apparently there has been a hacking type activity or some kind of worm or bot or something that infiltrated the headquarters computers on May 12th. They noticed them by, whoops, can't log in. And they are working with those FBI folks and some experts to try to bring everything back up. They're slowly bringing things together. It's one of those things that, as an IT guy, I want to be involved. I want to know everything. As a section manager guy, I want to make sure those guys are doing their thing and none of us bother them and stay out of their hair, because I've been in those situations. And last thing I want to do is have people helping me from the behind. But they are starting to get stuff up and running. Contesting website got up for the international contest and the VHF contest that's coming up. I don't know the order of March. They haven't said anything on what they're going to bring up. They have fished, as an IT guy, they said they got the network devices, the PCs, the servers, and some offline servers or some out of building servers. The only thing that leaves is the wire, right? They hacked everything else. So it sounds like they're going to have to do a lot of rebuilding to put everything back together. It is moving forward. It is something's happening. There is no there's no personal information involved. The ARRL.org has the most recent data. Literally, that's the stuff that we get as section managers. We'll be just a copy of the stuff that goes on site. They're trying to figure out, I'm sure, saving evidence and doing all that nonsense that you do in a situation like this. So they're moving forward. The good news is they had what was it, a year ago, April, they changed to something called Personify, which put all of the membership data offsite in a managed system. So all of that data is offsite. Nothing's been compromised. They don't have any of your information to give away. The only thing would be the name, call sign, and address, which is already on the FCC database. So they're building it back up, and everybody in the world has their own opinion on how it should come back up. It'll come back when it comes up. The thing I think out of this is, how would we as a club, as a person, as a ham, handle a data loss situation at your house? Do you have your data backed up? Do you have information? I got some people nodding, yeah, and I got some people going, huh? If pretend your house burned, pretend you, well, I don't have to pretend. I took a direct hit from a lightning strike 3 weeks ago, and I'm still finding stuff that I've lost. I've got 2 laptops that are just deader than a hammer. I've got wireless units that aren't failing all over the house, and no data involved. I keep all of mine on, it's not a commercial, it's not a paid endorsement. I keep all mine on live.com so that I can get it wherever I'm at. And it should be safe. But, pictures, wedding pictures you don't want to lose, you might ought to scan them and get them in places you can. You heard earlier from the mPING folks, it looks like they put a big X right over the top of us for hail and storms and all that stuff. So we as Oklahomans probably ought to be the best prepared for that. And, as an IT guy, I always take somebody else's loss and go, ooh, that could have been me. How would it have affected me if I would have lost something? So take that away. My big takeaway in the my last second to last message out was we're 160,000 hams connected by the Ethernet. Get your radio out, start talking, mark your logs however you want to, and if you want to do the log stuff, they'll upload later. I'm sure the minute the Logbook of the World comes back, everybody will upload everything they've ever done, and it will be a big backlog forever. But that too shall pass. So get on the radio, do all the stuff. Nobody's hurt, no harm, no foul. Take off running. If you have questions about how you should store your data, I will, as an IT guy, I would be happy to talk to you about what I do. What else are we thinking? We got Core ARRL.
Online audio is being rebuilt.
Online audio was one of those one of the computers that toasted. There's a Raspberry Pi that blew up that picks up the online audio. So if you're doing the thing off the front of the webpage or w5nor.org/listen, yeah, it's not there now. But I'll put it back together. Anything else?
That's it.
Good. Thank you.
Now we're going to do net, 6 meter net.
Good morning, everyone. You can join us on 6 meters. That's 50.200 per sideband. That's Monday night, 8 p.m. Come join us. We need some more folks.
Aries net.
Okay, on Monday nights at 8:15 p.m. on Talk Group 3140 is the Aries, Oklahoma Aries DMR net. We get people from all over the country and occasionally some people from out of the country. So come join us on that Monday nights. And then on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. we have the Aries net on 147.060. And you can come join us on that one every Monday. Tuesday.
And the gossip and MacNet.
The gossip, the MacNet, every morning, Monday through Saturday, except today, 9 o'clock in the morning, and come together with us. We're having a lot of fun. There's been upwards 30s checking in almost every morning, so a bunch of us. And the gossip net on right after the Aries net on Tuesday night through the repeater. Come check us, talk about anything you like. Come up there and have a good chit chat. And see you then. Thank you.
Now I got to run across the room for the 10 meter net.
Thank you, sir. Come and join us Wednesday night at 8 p.m. on 28445 for our 10 meter net. It's a good way to get your feet wet in HF. Week or two ago, we had a couple of stations from out of state check in. And there'll probably be more of that as the solar cycle continues. So come and join us.
And now the siren net.
Yeah, it's on Saturday, every Saturday at noon local time. The cities of Moore, Norman, and Noble and Newcastle run the sirens audibly to make sure that they are, in fact, working. And we have spotters out in the field. We still need a lot more people. We got more sirens than we got people. And that can lend to error because even though the computer says it sounded, a lot of times it doesn't, and vice versa. So anyway, we will be testing today and at the normal time. It's on the full 40 repeater, full 43700, PL 141.3. Thank you.
Thank you. So we got something going on in a couple of weeks from today. And our field day chair will talk to us about that.
Good morning. 2 weeks from today is the big field day. They do it across the country. Why do we do field day? It's not contesting. I know a lot of people think it that way. It is a way to set up for emergency preparedness for communications. Should something nationally happen or a natural disaster it happen across the country, that we need to communicate from coast to coast. We can show people that we can go out literally in a field, and in half an hour, we can set up multiple radios and antennas and so forth and talk across the country. Well, we practice that every year nationally, and that comes up in 2 weeks. So it's a 24-hour event. Now, we ask that people help us set it up, because a lot of the new hams, they learn about hooking up radios and cables and power supplies and antennas and why we hook them up the way we do. So if you want to help with setup, we do appreciate that. You know, show up about 8 o'clock Saturday morning, 2 weeks, ready to work. It's not that hard. We'll show you what we're going to set up. We're going to have 3 stations set up: CW, SSB, digital. If you want to work any one of the 3, let us know. We'll put you on a team to work that. You don't have to stay on that the full 24 hours. If you want to do CW, SSB, and digital, try it all. Do that. Come try it. Get your feet wet in it. You may have never played with digital, never seen it run. Come see it run. You're learning CW. We have several guys in the club right now are practicing learning CW. Come work with the CW guys. Get familiar with it. If you ever wanted to contest at various times, they have the different contests throughout the year, come work a field day. It's kind of like contesting, because you're going out there getting all these contacts and a whole bunch of them coming back at you. But you get to learn how to work them, how to log them, and just all around have fun. And we're going to have, like I said, 3 setups. We need 6 to 8, even 10 people per group. That way we have them working the entire 24 hours. It starts at 1 o'clock on Saturday, ends at 1 o'clock on Sunday, continuous. And we need people to work it the whole time. Yeah, Kim? Right now I've got 2 or 3 that want to do it, but hey, we'll take as many as we can get to do it, to come work it, like yourself.
I'll second the nomination for Kim.
I'll nominate. Second. Okay.
Motion passed.
All in favor? Okay. We'll have plenty of rigs here that you can choose from, whichever one you want to use. To set up, we'll have plenty of rigs. Those who want to bring a rig that are comfortable with it, bring it. That gives other people the option of seeing other types of rigs set up. We have one guy in the club, I'm going to mention him, is Ken Sanborn. He likes to bring about 5 or 6 different antennas just to play with them. That's a good way to test them. Bring your gear. We'll let you set it up. We've got rigs here. We'll bring rigs to set up and do the operation. We've got 3 dipole antennas that we're going to set up end to end to end, so there's no interference from the 3 stations. We have a lunch on Saturday. Club does that. We have a lunch on Saturday. We have a dinner on Saturday. They usually do a barbecue here on Saturday. We're going to have the availability of using this room and the restrooms. But we're going to set up 1 tent outside, so we can show field activity for people that want to, the public wants to come look at it. We're going to have, thanks to Galen, more EOC. He's bringing his truck Yeah, his play toy. That's we're going to set up out here in the parking lot. We're gonna have, we can do setup in here. We're also, I would encourage, and I do want to bring this up because about 2 years ago, Bill Lockett gave us an idea of doing small projects in here since we have this nice room, and they worked on repairing power supplies, and they had about 6 or 8 power supplies work on equipment. We're going to try to do that again this year. Set that up. They got testing for those one. Just they're going to have, Mike just remind me, they're going to have an Ed Fong roll-up antenna build with kits. People want to do that, build an antenna in here. Hey, that'd be great. $10 a kit. They're going to have kits do that. You can do it in here as a group and learn to build an antenna. So we're going to actually have a fun field day with a lot of activities. Tell all your friends, hey, if you ever wanted to see amateur radio in action, come on Saturday in 2 weeks. And it works. Like I said, Saturday and Sunday. And at the end of Sunday, when we finish at 1, we start taking it down. We appreciate everybody that wants to stay and help. Take it down. It's quicker and easier for everybody. And we have a lot of fun at it. And then the logs are done from each station, are given to Mark, and he submits it in for us. So any questions on that? Like I said, come and have a good time. Bring friends, bring other hams that don't normally go to field day. Bring them here. Yeah, come to field day. You'll make new ham friends. There you go. Right. Come here. No, they'll have them here, and you just you buy the kits here for the antennas if you want. Yes. Are they 2 440? Yeah, dual band. Any other questions? You can get with me or Mark, and just and let us know if you want to bring something or you want to help with a different function, or come to Elmer Nights. Come to Elmer Nights on Tuesday night. We're getting a large crowd now. We got a lot of projects going on. You can see the different things we do. You can ask questions. You can get radios programmed. You can ask about field day. Come see us. Okay. Appreciate it. Thank you.
The official show up time is 9 a.m. And I know how y'all are. You show up early and eat donuts. And there are donuts left, by the way. And coffee. Of course, we'll have coffee. We encourage you to bring something for the evening meal. We'll have sandwiches and chips for lunch. And then hot dogs, hamburgers for dinner. And as Phil always says, you kill it, we'll grill it. If you have something specific you want. Some people kind of like to bring their squirrels and stuff, but that's not my cup of tea.
One question, one thing, comment too. A lot of people stay overnight. We have running around the clock doing this. If you want to donate or bring extra snacks and stuff we can put in here for those folks overnight, we do appreciate that. Thank you. Yes. Sunday morning, we have a real nice breakfast done by David Grizzle, the EOC here in Norman. He sets up and does a real nice breakfast.
Also, that Ed Fong antenna build, I think, is scheduled for 4 p.m. on Saturday, if I'm not mistaken.
Or you can start early. Yes, we have VE testing at 2 o'clock on Saturday. Also, want to make sure everybody remembers next month's VE testing for July is not July 4th. It will be July 11th. So we try to keep reminding everyone of that. Also, old business, we are in the process of ordering hats. Yes, the new extra pool starts on July 1, actually. For us, it'll be July 11th. That's why why we have all these new extras. Old business, we are ordering hats. Executive committee decided navy blue and khaki. We do have black and pink hats still right now. Any other old business anybody knows? Any new business? Yes, Kim.
Since I did what I should not have done, and anybody interested in operating CW for field day, contact me. Is my email address in the club roster? Add my email address on the club roster and tell me when you'd like to be there. I'm kind of picky about the radio that shows up. It needs to have a CW filter in it. I won't take an SSB only rig for CW. The bandwidth's way too wide. It's impossible. I can do it, but somebody new to it cannot, and I don't like it. So 500 hertz is fine. Yeah. So send me an email for your preferred period, and I'll see what I can work in. We may have to negotiate. By the way, I'm doing this in memory of Bill Roberson, who used to handle it. So
I was just thinking about that. Do we have an update on Phil?
Phil is doing much better. Phil Sennett broke his hip back in October. I think it's October. November. Okay. October, November, either broke his hip and fell, or fell and broke his hip, whatever that magic story is on all of these things. They never know. But he had the fall and break his hip. They found some problems, nerve problems around his spine, compressed stuff. They went in and did surgery on the 3 compressed disc things on his back, which messed up a bunch of nerves, which made him all kinds of not be able to stand up and do all kinds of different things. They're working to get all that back. He is on a tracheotomy. And if you go visit him, don't let him unhook it, because he goes, oh, it'll be fine. Just put it in. Don't show off. Don't do any of that stuff. But he's trying to get weaned off the tracheotomy, and then he can go home. He's up at Crystal at
79th and
Crystal Park, 80th and Walker. Yeah. He can talk, he can do all that good stuff. He's got hair down to here, so ask him who the old lady is that's in his room. Yeah, he looks like a hippie without the hip. Whatever.
Mark.
But he is working to go home soon. He's planning to go work from home and continue working in that process. And I send him all the best. And if you have his phone number, call him. If you want to go visit him, he will take visitors shortly. Should be coming home. Is the good story. The other story that's Rodney, your Barrett, he's Holden. KG5 SST is in he's been fighting a cancer story. They've quit doing chemotherapy on him. He was not doing very well at all 2 weekends ago. Was it 2 weekends? Time flies. He was not doing didn't expect to live overnight, kind of not doing well. They got a feeding tube in him, and I talked to him sometime this week, don't remember when, and he sounded a whole lot better. He was in much better spirits, still running a feeding tube, still got the same prognosis, but he's over at Ignite over by Robinson Cross. Yeah, probably is in hospice, but he's Ignite. He was able to talk and do some stuff. Yeah, Bill's got a picture of senior rate of Phil, if you want to look at him and give him a hard time.
Okay, field day, June 22nd. East Side Bike Ride, June 29th. Any other announcements?
They're updating it every day, it seems like. Real, good little rig, works well. Let Brent and myself know. We still have something left.
Also, don't forget to pay your dues. If you're a new member and you pay your dues, you get a Ballfang radio with your first time dues. Anything else to come before the board? Anyone want a hat? Okay, anyone else? $15. We are adjourned. Thanks for coming. Unless you want pink.
No.
We'll get that's all we have left right now, but we'll get the new ones hopefully before next month. Thank you.